Alright, so have y'all ever heard of the lawnmower parable? Neither have I, until about 2 or 3 months ago.
Try to find religion to see what I'd become. I was ruined by the world, but I blamed it on the sun.
Alright, so the Lord gave me this parable whenever He was showing me the difference between, like, the people who are actually disciples and actually know what being a disciple is, and the ones who think discipleship and being a disciple of Christ is actually just workspace, and that comes from the lie. But there is about 2 or 3 different areas that have to do with this, and it could be from different areas regarding in anywhere in someone's life. But one, it's the 2 different areas: responding in faith before any sign of it occurs in the natural. If the Lord has given you something in the spiritual, and you know something, and you know what's going, that's really in the prophetic mainly. But then you act on it in the natural, and then taking God's instructions and promises before fulfilling it in His power. Obviously, casting out demons and introducing people to Jesus. Now, there are 3 different areas of this. There is the resources and tools, the knowledge, and the skills that are required. Okay, so the resources is what the Lord has given us, which in this case is the lawnmower. So how do we do the Lord's work? He gives us different resources, which is between finances or any other way. But in this case, the resources is a lawnmower. The skills is how we operate the lawnmower, how we maneuver the lawnmower in order to do the Lord's work. He's not going to send us out if we don't have the knowledge, resources, and the skills. The knowledge is actually how we're going to mow the lawn, how we're actually going to do the Lord's work. And then, so whenever He actually sends us out, essentially, many times, there are times whenever the Lord says, okay, I need you to do this. So there are some people out there who don't believe in actually doing the works of the Lord. They actually think it's a works-based, which we've gone over before. But when this happens, what happens is the Lord gives us everything we need to do His work. But He says, okay, son or daughter, mow the lawn. But what happens in that case, we come up to Him after He's given us this order and we're like, Daddy, can you mow the lawn? Can you do your work? But then He looks at us and looks at the lawnmower. He looks at us and looks at the lawnmower, waiting in anticipation for us to take up what He has given us, the resources, the skills, and the knowledge to go out and actually do His work. And He will not tell us to do something and not give us the stuff. Mind you, He sometimes does give us the stuff before. He does give us the instructions of what He wants to do a week, a day, and sometimes several years. He tells us that He's going to have us do something before we even have it. But as the time progresses, then at that point we will have the knowledge, the skills, and the resources to do it. But it all comes in time. Okay, so when it comes to doing His work, the Lord's work, we are operating that lawnmower, and we are using the tools, the knowledge, and the skills that He's given us. Yes, we are to give all the glory to God. But we have to remember, though, too, is that we can take a little bit of credit without making ourselves gods, without making ourselves idols to be worshipped, whatnot. The Lord will give us that credit eventually, but we are not to make ourselves idols or gods over the Lord, even though since He gave us that stuff. When we're speaking to the people, we can say, like giving testimony of some amazing work that the Lord did, which is always awesome. We can say that, but then I did this, or I spoke this prophecy. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as we are giving the Lord the glory for doing that work in us and giving us the skills, the resources, the knowledge in order to do His work. And I believe that's actually there is times where that's a fear in the church of taking a little bit of credit for ourselves. Think of it this way: Moses and Joshua. Moses took the credit for delivering Israel out of Egypt, but he used God's power that God gave him and instruction that God guided him through it. Moses delivered Israel from Egypt using God's power and guidance. And Joshua, he destroyed all the nations of the Promised Land using God's guidance and power. But God, in both situations, got all the glory. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe and share if you please. And until next time, love you and God bless.